Hello and welcome to Tech24 with me, Rebecca Bowring. Coming up in the programme, Kickstarter business idea with cash from strangers, that's crowdfunding, a way to bypass the bank and find backers online. We'll show you the record-breaking project that earned $10 million before it even went to market. And how to become a power entrepreneur. The ReadySet is a smart battery that lets you sell electricity to your community. Charge it from solar, mains or even a dynamo. Use it to run mobiles, tablets, lights and more. First, the Pebble is an e-paper smartwatch that connects to iPhone or Android via Bluetooth. Stock completely sold out before a single unit even shipped. Why? Thanks to a website called Kickstarter. It's a crowdfunding platform where internet users put their money behind projects that they believe in. Through 11 different funding options, the Pebble smartwatch earned over $10 million in pledges and pre-sold 85,000 units. Eric Olander is with me in the studio. This phenomenal success seems a testament to the viral nature of the internet.
It is, and this is a very new way of raising money, not only for the private sector, but we're also going to talk a little bit later about the nonprofit sector. So here's how it works on Kickstarter. What you do is you come up with a good idea. You have to make sure that the idea fits within the Kickstarter model. We'll talk about some of the limitations there in a minute. But then what you do is you put it out and people, anybody around the world can back it. Now, a lot of people have backed with a lot of money, and we hear about venture capitalists. They talk about putting in millions of dollars. Well, Kickstarter is really about the small individual, and they put in $25, $50 oftentimes, and now, so far, Kickstarter's raised over $200 million for independent entrepreneurs and people with creative projects in order to get them off the ground.
So essentially, what are the pluses, the bonuses of using Kickstarter if you're a startup?
Well, think about when you, in the old days, of course, was just 4 or 5 years ago, if you had a great idea, you had to go to a bank for a loan, or we have the classic, max out all your credit cards to start your startup, or go to the venture capitalist. Well, in all three cases, there were very severe limitations. In part, with the economic crisis, the banks stopped lending money. So that was one big problem. The other one for venture capitalists, for people who had good ideas, they really lend in the millions. They don't lend in the thousands or even the hundreds. So it was very difficult to get that VC money. This really solves a problem because somebody with a good idea who doesn't need a lot of money can get going just by asking you and me to actually kick in a few dollars.
Now, we've talked about Kickstarter, of course, one of the biggest out there. There are other sites as well. Indiegogo, KissKissBankBank is another one, GrowVC in the UK, and sector-specific ones too, like My Major Company. Independent filmmakers and singer-songwriters are increasingly turning to crowdfunding to get their movies made and get their albums released. Here in France, a fashion crowdfunding portal has become a successful marketplace for fledgling designers, where shoppers can pre-order items before the season at a reduced price. Once your quota is reached, production begins. I caught up with Arbia Smitty, founder of Carnet de Mode.
We give the opportunity for young designers to have their own e-shop or mini store in our marketplace. All of that for free, PR, marketing, communication, exposure, and also sales, and attract for them, clients that, they couldn't attract by themselves. And what makes us different from other crowdfunding websites is the fact that we give kind of royalties or return on investment on each, sale generated on the garment that you pre-order at the beginning.
So very successful there, Carnet de Mode. But does this model work for everybody?
It doesn't, and there are a couple exceptions here. Now, a lot of people think, I'm going to quit my job, put my life out onto Kickstarter and raise a bunch of money. They don't fund what they call Fund Your Life, which is basically to be unemployed and to be a bum. Secondly, the one thing they don't fund is nonprofit and charity initiatives, and that's something that's done by another group called Kiva, Kiva.org. They fund nonprofit charity or groups, so there's a lot of different crowdfunding, not just Kickstarter.
That's great. Thank you very much for that, Eric. And hold that thought. We'll be talking about microfinance in part 2. There are over 500 million mobile phone users in the world who have network coverage but no electricity. So how do you charge your phone when you're off the grid? Well, you could use an acid-filled car battery, or you could get your hands on a ReadySet. It's an intelligent battery with a range of options for generating electricity, including solar, mains and a dynamo. These units can be bought via microfinance and used by entrepreneurs to provide power to their communities. That's what Annette in Uganda has done. Here she is explaining how her business works.
I charge people's phones and get some income from it. So I put the solar panel up on the roof and started working. I charge between 6 to 8 phones per day.
ReadySet entrepreneurs can earn up to $50 per month in income and energy savings. Eric, take us through how it works.
Well, this is what a revolution actually looks like. This is a revolution in a box. This is the ReadySet box made by a company called Fenix, kind of a joint Africa, US, and now based in Paris operation. Now, what it is basically is you set this up on the side of the road, as we saw in the village, where you have a big problem in Africa. And a lot of emerging markets is not necessarily the lack of power, but the lack of consistent power. So you may have brownouts that last for 8-10 hours a day. So what ReadySet and Fenix have done is they've partnered up with the mobile operators who have a vested interest in making sure that people can remain connected to the network as much as possible. Now think about it. For an operator like MTN based in Johannesburg, what they do is they've recognized the more people talk on their phone, the more they use their service, the more money they make. So when brownouts occur, they don't make any money. So they've partnered up with ReadySet to put these boxes, they're cost $150 all throughout their coverage zone. Fenix is also talking to other mobile operators. Then with this little tiny solar dish, this goes out somewhere up on a roof or somewhere, and it's pretty light and actually pretty flexible. And what you do then is you basically create a little kiosk on the side of the road where people stop by to charge a phone. A phone charge usually takes the same as if you were plugged into a wall here in Paris. About 2 hours for a smartphone, an hour for a feature phone.
And it takes about 6 to 8 hours to charge this using solar power, but there are other forms of charging it.
Absolutely. What I like about what they're doing here is the fact that they're using an existing business model. So they're profiting off the benefit from the fact that the mobile operators have a vested interest, the users have a vested interest, and it's really a technology that's solving a problem. Power is a chronic problem in a lot of emerging markets, so there's a lot of potential for this kind of technology.
And it's not just phones that you can power this either, is it?
Well, here's the key thing. So we've got a nice little light here. We're going to plug this into the USB, and all of a sudden you've got a power light going on. Now think about the health implications of this. You can have power, you can have light, you can do blood pressure monitoring, you can do any type of thing that comes with electricity. We take electricity so much for granted here in the developed market where we don't have where we have uninterrupted power, but in a lot of markets where there is interruptions or not power at all, simply having light in the middle of the night or even in the middle of the day is a huge thing. So it's not just for mobile phones.
And just to explain briefly, obviously a light means a shop can stay open for longer, but this is itself an entrepreneurial device, isn't it? Talk about microfinance. How do people buy these?
Well, there's a couple different ways people buy them. One is they can buy them through their mobile operators and their mobile carriers. Another one is that they can get financing through a Kiva, for example. We talked about that earlier, microfinancing. And a community, a lot of times people don't buy them as individuals. They will get together with 5 or 6 people, contribute $25 each, and then they will set up a joint collective business. This
and
is
the
really
idea is they pay for themselves in about 3 months.
They pay for themselves depending on the demand.
That's excellent. Thanks very much for all of that, Eric Olander. Thank you to you for watching Tech24. Do catch up with us on the social network. Just go to the URL coming up in the corner of your screen, and please remember to follow us on Twitter. We leave you this week with a taster of a film that pays tribute to the courage of women bloggers. Forbidden Voices, directed by Barbara Miller, follows 3 female activists as they turn to the web to fight for democracy in Cuba, Iran and China, all countries identified by Reporters Without Borders as being enemies of the internet. We'll see you next week here on Tech24.
Ça fait quelque temps que j'ai pu parler avec des ingénieurs sur Skype. On est vraiment très inquiets de cette situation.